Saturday of the bye week, 49ers resetting, and one thing that they need to reset coming out of this bye is the run game. They've been number 21 EPA per play, if you want to look at the advanced efficiency metrics, which I think you need to do since week 6, because you need to assign blame here, right? And the 49ers defense has been so poor over the past 2 weeks that it's put the 49ers into deficits, and it's actually prevented running opportunities. The volume of runs, they've only averaged 19 per game since week 6 after averaging about 35 or 36 per game over the first 5 weeks. So you have to situationally position yourself to run, but even when the 49ers are running on the fewer opportunities this year, they've been much less efficient. Their success rate was number 5 over the first 6 weeks. And the success rate is down into the 20s now, running the ball. I think the variable that's changed is an obvious one. They lost Trent Williams against the Cleveland Browns. They lost a healthy Trent Williams. Trent kept on playing, but obviously was compromised on the ankle. And the 49ers, after running the ball well for 5 weeks, did not run the ball well against Cleveland, didn't run the ball well against Minnesota, and didn't run the ball well against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Christian McCaffrey, the runner himself, he has a little bit of blame in all of this as well, because he fumbled against Minnesota early on, prevented the 49ers from grabbing a lead. You figured that if the 49ers grab a lead, then Christian McCaffrey and the offense can run more as the game progresses. So it's a team sport. The blame goes around. I think Brock Purdy has been doing his part in making sure that the boxes are loosened up for the 49ers to run, but they don't have the right blocking apparatus. And I think this team's offensive line is not great, right? So Trent Williams is a big piece for the 49ers up front. When you're missing Trent, he's the cheat code that makes everything work. You could have some struggles elsewhere along the offensive line. Trent Williams erases them. Well, he's no longer there, and the 49ers hope that he can make his return after the bye week. To put some more perspective on where this is for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey is still leading the NFL in rushing. He's on pace for the rushing title. He's over 600 yards on the season. But whereas he was averaging over 110 yards per game over the first 5, he's averaging only about 48 yards per game over the most recent 3. So there's been a big dip in efficiency for the 49ers run game that they need to figure out. And I think that getting Trent Williams back is going to be huge, because, you know, the run game, it builds a backbone to your entire game plan. The 49ers, when they rebounded last year, or 2 years ago, they've rebounded both years against the Rams, but 2 years ago, coming off of the really ugly defensive outing against Arizona and Colt McCoy, Drake Kirkpatrick getting run over. That was week 9. 49ers showed up against the Rams and were able to move the chains, run the ball, play with a lead. And that game saw 40 minutes of possession for the 49ers, over 39 rushes. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo made so much of it possible in that game against the Rams by making sure the 49ers were awesome on 3rd down. So that's where Brock Purdy's job comes in right now. He's got to make sure that he is consistently converting 3rd and manageable, assuming the 49ers can run well with Trent Williams back on 1st and 2nd down. So it all ties together. And then if that happens, you can actually shield your defense. That's what the 49ers strove to do in 2021 when the defense was really struggling. The next time out after that Cardinals game, they said, we need to keep the defense on the sideline. Let's let them figure things out on the bench. Let's not make them figure things out against NFL offenses. So it all panned out for the 49ers because the offense shielded the defense so effectively. A couple other points of conversation here. By the way, we're out in Franklin. There's the barn. Barn is looking nice behind me today. Ooh, the sun. I love that today. This is how you're supposed to relax over the bye week. Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. Brandon Aiyuk. I see some people talking about Brandon Aiyuk. He's having a fantastic football season this year. You look at some of the separation metrics, and Aiyuk is just on another level from any other NFL receiver. You can look at Aiyuk's dot on this chart that grades the separation from PFF on the x-axis, and then the yak ability on the y-axis. Look, Aiyuk is way off on the right side of the chart. It's really tough to quantify receivers but lately we've gotten some of the tools to do it, because you have to be able to gauge whether or not they're winning which is separating on every single snap, not just the snap that they're getting the football, to independently evaluate how a receiver is playing. And Brandon Aiyuk has been winning even when he's not getting the football. That's the big takeaway here. His yards per route run is second to only Tyreek Hill. And that involves getting the football, but it also involves getting open very, very consistently. And that obviously yards per route run is going to account for every single route that Brandon Aiyuk has run. So when you talk about efficiency, explosiveness, everything under one hood, that's a good stat. YPRR, yards per route run, Brandon Aiyuk is second only to Tyreek Hill, who's having that awesome season over in Miami. So the 49ers right now, they're going to be back out at practice on Monday. Chase Young and Nick Bosa are in the building this weekend. Right now, they probably watched Ohio State Rutgers together. The buck end for the 49ers, right? Reminiscing on the college days, but it's a crash course for Chase Young on the playbook. 49ers, I talk about the need to establish the run on the offensive side. You need to stop the run on the defensive side of the football. It is imperative that the 49ers win at both lines of scrimmage. That's how they took off over the past 2 years. They started slow. They took off down the stretch. What changed was they started dominating along the line of scrimmage. And it's a lot like an arm wrestling match, right? Because it could seem that you're hopeless along both sides of the line of scrimmage when you're losing the arm wrestling match, when you're getting pushed back, when you don't have that leverage, when gravity's not on your side. Things can quickly change in a game if you start well, right? Just like an arm wrestling match, whoever gets that first push to put the opponent into that bad position of leverage, that's who's going to have a big advantage. That's why the 49ers, they arm wrestle teams. And the 49ers are going to want to get ahead against Jacksonville coming out of this bye. So much has been said about the difficulty of the 49ers schedule, the brutal travel docket that the 49ers have. Well, this is one game where they're going to be on even footing because they get they're coming off of the bye. I get Jacksonville's coming off of the bye too. But even if it's on the East Coast, the 49ers have had time to lick their wounds. They're not coming off of a game the Sunday before. So it's a good opportunity for them to actually execute their game plan without a disadvantage and get out to that lead. I think that's what's so important. But ultimately, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, that's a triumvirate at the top of the 49ers offense. They need all three of those guys, I think, to execute their game plan the way they want to. And if they do, if they are able to convert third downs, run, build a lead, and start taking the air out of the football game, that's where the 49ers defense is going to have a chance to be shielded and look a whole lot better. All right, hope you enjoyed this bye week update. We'll talk to you soon.